So, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on this morning's webinar. Thank you to everybody for signing up at such short notice. Obviously, we apologise for cancelling the previous one, but great that so many of you have joined us on the rescheduled version. So this morning, same format as our usual webinars. We're going to do about half an hour this morning. I'll pass you over to Shelley in a minute, who's going to lead the webinar for you today. The webinar today will be recorded, so anything you want to check back on, or if you want to share this webinar with your colleagues and the rest of the business, then we will be releasing the link for it to our YouTube channel later on this afternoon, so you can watch again. And as usual, any questions, just pop them down in the chat box there, and we'll either try and answer them throughout the webinar, or if they're specific to you, then Shelley will come back to you once we are finished. So good morning again, and let me pass you straight over to Shelley and we'll get going.
Morning everyone. Just before we get going, if you can all hear me nice and clearly, if you could just pop a yes into the chat box, just I know we've had perfect. Right, so yeah, as Sarah said, we're going to be looking at the temp desk today. What we're going to do is look at a contract one and a shift one, so regardless of which method you use, you'll be able to see something and hopefully pick up some tips to make your life a little bit easier. As with other webinars, terminology can be different between my database and yours, but everything's in roughly the same place, so you should be able to pick things up. You'll all work in slightly different ways as well, so if you have specific questions regarding how you work and how you want to be able to do something a little bit better, you can contact support after the webinar and I'll have a look at that and we can have a dial in with you. So we'll just get started just now. I'm going to use one of my favourite top tips from last week. I'm going to open one temp desk, then I'm going to hold down shift and click on it again just to open a second temp desk. And I'll open it up. So I've got my contract one here at the front and my shift one here at the back. So we'll start off just having a look at the shift. A reminder that along the top you can see what desk it is. It's going to open up with your default, but by clicking on the drop down arrow you can look at other temp desks. You've got your year and your week, and each week you just move it on one just by clicking up and pressing make current. If you're in a different week, you can use your go to current and it'll take you back to the current week. So the tab it always opens up on is your vacancies tab here, and this is where you'll just see all of your vacancies that you're actively working on. You can just monitor your situation, see what work still needs to be done and what's being completed. So sticking with the shifts here, you'll be able to see you've got your job title and company, and on each day of the week, what shifts you've got booked in, whether you've got anything unfilled, whether shifts have been worked as in they've been timesheeted, or whether they've just been booked and they're still to be timesheeted. It opens up in current state, so that means that if you open up the vacancy and you have a look under status codes, it's showing as current here. So regardless of whether you've got shifts in the week, as long as that state's current, it'll show on the current state here. So as you'll see, I've got a couple down the bottom here with no shifts in them, but because they've got the state of current, they're showing on this view. If I'm not interested in the ones that I don't have shifts for, I can click my shifts in week and it'll limit to just the ones where I've actually booked shifts for that week. You can also filter it further and just look at my unfilled in week, so that's probably a great place to start in the morning, trying to find out what needs done as a priority. You can come in here, set it to unfilled in week and work away on those shifts. You'll see we've got our different colours here. What the colours you have on your database might be slightly different to mine. I have red for unfilled because I thought that was a good warning that I need to highlight them, but if you're ever unsure of what your colours mean, put your little question mark here, and if we're looking at shifts, you can see the different colours and what they mean, and that is taken from your colours in the database. In the screen you can also add, fill and confirm shifts, and if you've got the rights you can copy shifts. Copy shifts is a great time saver if you have a client shift pattern week after week. It means you don't need to add them all manually each week, you can just copy them from one week to the next, and it is just 1 week to the next. And you do have the ability, if they want the same temp back, that you can fill them with the same temp if that temp's available. So that's a great little time saver if you have the rights to do that. Then just Before we leave the shift desk, but this is the same on the contract, you have your search, expand and add buttons here. I've not got a huge number of vacancies because it is just a test database, but if you've got lots and they're off the screen, rather than spending time scrolling past the one you're looking for, you can use the search button here and search on the company name or the job title for the one that you're looking for. So if we go for one further down, we'll go for Westbury, and I'm going to say that one. You'll see it's automatically taking my little black arrow down to the relevant vacancy, saving me the time of having to scroll through. Expand, same as double clicking on the vacancy, it'll just open it up, or I can add a vacancy straight from here as well. One thing to note with adding vacancies, and again another great time saver, is your temp desk regulars. As you'll see, now that I've clicked on add, I've got a list of companies and contacts down here, and this is designed for companies that you use a lot of and you're going to be using regularly. You can set up a client contact stored selection called temp regulars, and I'll just show you in here, and you must call it temp regulars, and this will automatically populate that bottom half of the screen for you. Again, it's just a little time saver, saves you having to search for and look for those clients and contacts every time that you're doing a job. It brings them up for you. So we'll just pop over to the contract desk very quickly. Again, as I said, we've got our search, expand and add. It also defaults to current state, so again it's the state of current on your vacancy, but your other option is date span period. This gives you a slightly different list. This is where you have either an open-ended contract vacancy or one that does have an end date, but the dates in it fit in the week that you're in on the desk. So now this is showing me everything that's week 4 in April because that's what I've got set as current. Apologies, that is a little bit out of date. If you can't find a vacancy under your current state, it's possible that when you were filling it and the message came up saying, do you want to set the vacancy to filled, you've said yes to that. So for example, if I go back to date span period and I open up this top one, it wasn't showing on my current, and that's because it's got a status of filled. I can easily just expand that, set it back to current, save and close, and now my bricklayer appears on my current state. So if there's ever a vacancy you're looking for and it's not there, have a look, check the date span period, it's maybe just accidentally been set to filled. The other toggle buttons we have on the contract desk are whether you want to look at the placements, so the number of placements you've made against the number of posts, or timesheets, the number of timesheets you've got against the number of posts. Excuse me. And we've also got the unfilled only, so again, the same as the shift desk, great place to start for prioritising your work. Come in, have a look at your unfilled ones. What do I need to be doing for these ones to get them filled, to keep on top of my work? And from here, you can make your placement direct. Just click on the line that you want and use the Make Placement button, and that'll take you through the placement process. So moving on, we'll pop back to our shifts and we'll go to temps. Again, very similar for both desks, you'll see, just a couple of extra ones on the shifts. So this is where you get to see a summary of all your temps that have been registered into your temp desk. If someone isn't appearing, and again, you've got your search button here, the same as on your vacancies to look for a particular temp, because I appreciate you'll have a lot of candidates in there. If somebody's not appearing, it's possible that they haven't been ticked into your temp desk. That's done as part of the registration process, or it can be done separately on the candidate record on the temp desks tab here. If you've got this, you might not have rights to see that, and you can tick somebody into the temp desk and that will make them appear in here. Again, expand opens it up, or you can quickly check the holiday pay for particular candidates. So if they phone you up, you don't need to go searching for their record, come onto the temp desk, quickly find it, open it up, and you can report back on the holiday pay that they've got. A little bit quicker than going into the candidate record, finding the payroll tab, and then going into the holiday pay from there. Again, we've got another drop down here. I'll just expand it. We've got current pool, so that's, as you would expect, all your candidates that have the state of current entire pool. This is everyone that's registered into the temp desk regardless of your state. So it might have your newly registered people, it might have people that have been placed, but it's anyone that is registered into the temp desk. Working in week, it's everyone that you've got out working this week. This is a great option for if you need to send out a quick communication to everybody. For example, you've got bank holiday and you want to tell them their timesheets need to be in earlier. You can highlight and click all of your people that are working in the week, process your temps through, and do a mail merge, either email or text message, to let them know about the change. It's much easier than trying through from one of the other screens working out who is working and who isn't. So the other options we have are placed today. So this is for your new starts. Anyone that's been placed today, again, great for doing your bulk messaging. You can process them through, or even just a quick text message to send them to say, how are things going? The same as all other selector screens, if you put your little black arrow against the person's name, you can just press your F2 button and it'll automatically create a contact event for you. You don't need to go into the candidate's record and press the contact event button. F2 will automatically open that up for you. And finally, we've got new to agency. These are all the people that are registered into your temp desk but haven't been out and worked for you, so they've not got a timesheet yet. So again, it's great if you're struggling to find people, come in here, see who you've registered in the past, have a look at their notes, find out why they've not been working for you. Double click or click expand, and you can use your video buttons here just to scroll through them, having a look at their details, see if they're relevant for what you need them for. Again, we've got our little, I'll just go back to the current pool, we've got our little question mark here to show the colour legend. This time we're at the bottom section, we're looking at temps. Green means available, red unavailable, etc. So if you're ever unsure of what one of the colours mean, it'll be here to show you. From the screen you can add availability, unavailability or holiday. Simply click on the button, complete the form, save and close to finish it off, and that will feed through here and onto their individual candidate record. Also, because what you can also do is if you've got a position and you know it's on a particular day, you can click on the header of the day that they're working and it will filter all your temps to those that have availability entered on that day. Don't need to scroll through the list trying to identify which line's which. Simply click on the header for Monday and it'll tell you that these are the people that are available. You can then make your calls from there and try and fill the position. Clear that simply by clicking on the header. Again, it brings everyone back. Just a note of warning, if you don't add your availability, then this functionality is probably not that useful to you because it works on having availability entered, which is why it's just a great thing to get onto the habit of maybe on a weekly basis, keeping your availability up to date, contacting the ones where you don't have any information for, and then these functionalities will become really useful to you. The other option is if you've got a particular time, you can right click and choose available at time. Enter the times. So if I've got something between 10 and 1, hit OK, and again it brings everybody back that has availability between 10 and 1. Clear it, clear available time, and you're back to your list before. We've also, because we're on the shift desk, we have the add shift, book shift, confirm shift. So everything can be done from here. So if you saw that you had your shifts in here but they weren't the colour of confirmed, you can come in and confirm them from here. You don't need to go into your candidate record and do it from there. So this is a great screen just for keeping everything up to date and just keeping on top of who you've got. For example, just going through making sure these people, if you don't have availability for them, are they still looking for work? Should they still be current, or do you need to change their state? The more you keep this up to date, better results you're going to get back from your string. And for filling shifts, you'll be able to do it a little bit quicker. So having a look at our contract desk here, again, much the same. We've got our availability, you can see where people are working, and we've got the ability to add availability, unavailability or holiday, as well as have a look at holiday pay. The options in the drop down are exactly the same, so it's pretty much the same, you just don't have the added shifts options there. So we'll now have a look at the placement tab for both. So placements for the contract desk, as soon as you make a placement, this will appear in here. We can expand the placement to look at it directly. From there, have a look at the details of it, add any end dates if it's coming to an end and it's not relevant anymore. Again, because keeping up to date is really important, you put an end date in, it's not going to create a provisional timesheet. If you leave it open-ended, you're creating provisional timesheets week after week for people that aren't working for you anymore. And particularly if you do the timesheet dispatch, that can cause problems because people are receiving timesheets they don't want to be receiving. But again, we've got our active in period, so these are the ones where it's open over the week that you've got on the desk, or you've got the awaiting timesheet for period. This is a really useful button if you've maybe put on a late placement and you haven't yet created the timesheet for it. And when we get onto the timesheets tab, I'll show you when we come back in here after we've created the extra timesheet that this disappears. So this is basically just telling me I need to create a timesheet for this person. It's not been done yet. Go back to the active period. You can get straight to your vacancy or applicant, no need to go into your selector and go searching for it. And you have the count button here that'll quickly count up how many placements you've got in this week. Great, you can scroll back to the previous week, hit the count and see how you're doing. Are you getting more placements each week or are you going down? The standard hours are showing here as 7.5 and that's easily updated just by double clicking on the line and going into your work pattern here at the side. If your normal daily hours, or you can change the days as well. So it's just the work pattern here. This feeds back through onto your temp desk. The other useful thing you can do, you'll see I've got this marked as sick here. If you just right click and edit, you can choose in the bottom here that actually that person didn't turn in, so it was cancelled, the temp was sick. You say OK, it's going to ask you to put unavailability reason to the diary, and for AWR you choose your reason, save and close, and it's marked it to sick. This is quite useful if you've got a temp that you think is regularly turning up sick. If you take the time just to come in here and update it, you've got that evidence to go back and look at that again. Placements on the shift desk, these only appear once they've been timesheeted. So this might be blank when you first go into it, and then after you've done your timesheets, all your placements will appear. You have a couple of extra views if you're on shift. You've got vacancy shifts. This one's quite helpful because it gives you a line per person in each vacancy. So we can see in the top one here, this person's in 3 days, but the next person's only in once. You've got lots and lots here. You can search by company or position to filter it down. And you've got the ability, just again, count, see how many different people you've got out. One that's not often used, but it is quite helpful just for seeing how many different people you've got out at your different vacancies. Again, from here you can confirm or copy onto the following week or add in any extra shifts that you need to. Shifts also have the additional pop-out screen, which shows you all of your different shifts that you've got, again, for the desk and in the time period. If you want to change any of these filters along the top, you can choose filter shifts, change your dates, change it to only look at your unfilled shifts because these are the ones that you're interested in. And we also have advanced filtering. So if you're looking for a particular shift in amongst all your thousands of shifts, use your advanced filtering. You can search on our ref, their ref, grade. So if you know it's a particular grade of shift, you can search on grade to bring that back. It's just a quick search for you. Once you hit OK in that, it brings them all back. So I now know that I have 13 unfilled shifts and I just work my way through filling all of these. The top part of the screen is the list of shifts and the bottom section's all the details on it. Everything in white can be edited, so if that's actually going to end at 5 o'clock, I just change that in there and update it. You've got all your information on who ordered it, who entered it, whether it's been confirmed or not. So that's all in the bottom section. From here you can fill it directly or cancel it if it isn't needed anymore. You can go straight to your vacancy or your temp, and if it's a worked one, you can go straight to your timesheet. So if you are doing shifts, this is a great window just to keep on track of set your different states. For example, you can set to provisional and have a look at all your ones that haven't yet been confirmed. Okay, moving on to timesheets. This is the same for both shift and contract. It'll be blank when you first come in and you use your create button. This will create a provisional timesheet for every open booking that you have on your placements screen, which is why it's really important to keep your placements up to date and finish them by putting an end date on when they've come to an end. You'll see these blue ones at the top. These are all normal provisional timesheets. I have one red one here because this is an electronic timesheet and can be completed through our IQX web product. At the bottom here, we've got the black ones that have all been completed. So create will have a look and see if there are any placements that don't yet have a timesheet. And there we go. That extra one that I had on my placements of a waiting timesheet is now being created, so I have nothing in here that I need to do. You can search if you've got lots of timesheets, or expand, you can open it up and complete it. Add a timesheet if one's been missing. For example, if you want to do a holiday pay timesheet. You can go straight to your vacancy or your applicant. Again, we've got a question mark for showing what do the colours mean, and particularly if you are new to the IQX web, this is really handy because it shows you at what stage in the e-timesheet process it's at. You've got your count button to tell you how many timesheets you've got, and document will open up any linked timesheets that you may have. If you're using a timesheet dispatch, you'll have an additional button here that says dispatch. Clicking that will email or print out a timesheet for every provisional timesheet that you have here. Again, it's a great time saver and can be customized to your agency's needs. You then get a note in here to say when was it dispatched and what was the method. For example, if you've got lots of people all out at the same site and the site only wants to receive one timesheet for them, the dispatcher will gather those all together and email them out on a single timesheet for you. You don't have to sit and manually create the timesheets. Okay, I'm conscious that we're rapidly running out of time and there's a few extra ones that I'd like to go through, so I'll just quickly show you the AWR temps. Great screen again for just seeing a summary. Because I've got test data, I'm just going to set this back to 0 weeks, but you would normally look at it for greater than or equal to 11 weeks, who's coming up to the AWR period and who needs to have their rates changed, are they entitled to extra holidays. You can monitor all that in here. So you've got your options for gap or qualification, so who's coming up for qualification, or who's had a gap of more than 6 weeks and therefore the clock's restarting again. So you've got all that information, you've got all your different AWR statuses, so you can filter on this and work your way through your people that are not known, because you want to know whether it's going to apply or not. You can expand the candidate or expand the placement and just work your way through those, keeping your information up to date. For the ones that apply, you have your show weekly details button here. I've obviously deleted something there, apologies. The show weekly details button will go into each of the lines and show you whether it's a qualifying week for their timesheets or it's been paused because they've been on holiday or something like that. So you get a breakdown of all of the details. And this is the same regardless of whether you're on a shift desk or a contract desk, and it just brings everything together so you're not having to be going through your individual temp records and having a look at their particular AWR status. Next one we have is our AWR checking, and this summarises all of your vacancies, your roles and your company. So it's just again showing you what your job titles are, what level it's at, and what the holidays are. You have the ability to set your date range or just filter it according to the type. So again, it's more of a one-stop shop for looking at things rather than having to do different clients and looking at stuff. You can come in here. For example, if I expand up this vacancy, I can come in, it opens me up straight on the AWR. I can edit it. I say, actually, I now know that it doesn't apply, and I can close it off and just keep everything up to date through here. And finally, we have our expiry dates tab. And if you do work in an industry where having up-to-date documentation is really important, and you need to make sure that whether it's CRBs or visas are all up to date, this screen is a great place for bringing all that information together. The fields that come through are questions that have been set with lead days, and it tends to just be your expiry dates that you want to see in here. You might have a lot more. You can look at it with, you've got your current pool, or you can again look outside your entire pool. And temps that you want to show, do you want to see all of your temps in the current pool? Just those that are expired and expiring, and it drops it down. Those that are expiring, and those that have expired. The colours, again, you've got your red once it's past the lead days and it's expired. Black means you're fine, it's okay, you don't need to worry about that one. And blue means that your date is coming up, but it's within the lead time. So really your red ones are your big concern because those are out of date and these candidates shouldn't be out working. Blue means you need to get some information from them because it's coming up, and black means you're okay. So you're generally working towards keeping everything in blue or black. You can also filter on the top of the tabs here. For example, I have nobody, so Macy here doesn't have anything in the CRB. So if I click on CRB, she drops off the list and it's only looking at my people that have something in the CRB column. I click on it again, I clear column filter, and she comes back again. We've also have the working in week option here, so it's anyone that's out working this week, what's their status, what do we need to get from them. Again, whoever you're on, press F2, make your contact event, record that you've contacted them, or alternatively, set it to expiring, Control click on the people, and process your temps to bulk mail merge and say, this is coming up for expiry date, please let me see your additional information. You can open up your candidate record and for all your periods expired, come in and change the state to make them not current so they're not appearing on your searches there. So that is a great screen. If you do want any help in setting that up, please do not hesitate to contact us because it's really useful and can save you a lot of time. So basically that is the temp desk. Hopefully there's been something in there that'll show you how you can move around IQX a little bit quicker or just give you different ideas on how you might want to manage your temp desk, looking at different views and how they can help you in your day-to-day work. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to email them either into the support@iqx.co.uk email address or to myself, which is shelley.hunter@iqx.co.uk. There are also the reports here that we haven't even gone into, so if you do have any questions on the report, please just give us a call or email that in. I hope that's been great because I know that the temp desk is the real hub for you temporary workers. So thank you very much for joining us and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Bye now.